Right, hello guys, welcome back to the Raid Mastery series, the place where I teach you how to get better at specific raids by showing you current strategies, useful tips, and damage meta recommendations. It's been quite a while since I made the last entry to this series, and since then we had quite possibly the best raid ever come out, which is of course Salvation's Edge. And today we're going to be breaking down each encounter and learning how to be most optimal so that your next clear is as fast and efficient as possible. Before we get into it, I'm going to assume you already know how to do the raid, since unlike the previous entries, this time I won't be going over how to do each encounter from scratch, but rather the current strategies that assume you know how to do said encounter in the first place. So if you're looking for a raid guide, this isn't the place. But I hear Datto is quite good at those, so maybe check his out. Furthermore, there are probably some things that I've missed in this video, so if you have some tips of your own, do write them down in the comments below for everyone else to see. Alright then, let's start with the first encounter known as Substratum. First of all, when you split up into both of the side rooms, the team that gets Dread Attendance is the team that'll encounter the Overload first in their third room. So if say the starting rooms on round 1 are top left and top mid gets Attendance, mid right will contain an Overload. On the flip side, the team that gets Vex Hobgoblins gets an Overload in their 5th room, since if you follow our previous example all the way around, you end up in bottom right, which is that team's 5th room. So from this, we can deduce that the Hobgoblin team shouldn't bother progressing rooms since they get to their Overload slower. And actually, it's been found that if the Hobgoblin team stays in their first room and simply spawn kill Hydras, it works out more efficient because Hydras spawn in the furthest room you reach. So there's no need to hop from room to room, simply stay put and spawn kill the Hydras. Some other more general tips for Substratum include the fact that Izanagi's Burden can fully deplete the shoulder portion of the Tormentor's health bar with a 4 times Hone Dead shot, and then after that, the remainder of the Tormentor's health can be one-shotted by a Radiant Celestial Nighthawk to the body or a Starry to Nova Bomb. But even better, a Starry to Twilight Arsenal can full kill the Tormentor, including the shoulder health. But if your team has neither of these, then running Divinity is also really good for quickly dispatching the Tormentor. Lastly, when dunking Resonance, make sure the first person to dunk is holding either 1 or 2 and not 3, since the first input to the box will only accept 1 Resonance, regardless of whether you're holding more than 1. And in fact, this includes every box in the upcoming encounters, so just something to be aware of. That about does it for Substratum. Now let's move on to the Herald of Finality. The Herald of Finality is the first boss encounter, and to be honest, there isn't much that you really need to optimize here besides damage and a couple things in the running phase. First of all, when one player from each side is called to Reckoning, you might find it useful to know that Ariana's Vow is able to one-tap the Blights from any range, as well as one-tap the Herald's face to trigger Stolen Favor as long as you have At First Glance active. This will simply make the first phase of the fight a little more efficient. When it comes to damage, swords tend to work best here, and in order to be most optimal with swords, you're going to need someone running a Wolfpack Rounds Ergo Sum, a single Attrition Orbs Whirlwind Blade Summon Bonum, and the rest on Relentless Strikes Whirlwind Blade swords. If you can't be bothered to grind a new Year 7 sword and you happen to be an OG player, the collection roll for the It Stared Back sword from the Leviathan raid comes with this exact combo, and be sure to re-roll it for an impact masterwork. Any Titans should be on Curious Thundercrash with the exception of one that can optionally be on Strand with Banner of War, since it provides a passive 10% increase to sword damage while within the banner. And all Warlocks should be on Starry to Nova Bomb and not Well of Radiance, since that's what we have the Attrition Orb Summon Bonum for. More on why this is in this video if you're curious. And finally, all Hunters should be on Celestial Nighthawk. The one phase on this boss is actually fairly difficult, since it basically requires one Titan to be on Banner of War with Tractor, as well as a couple Hunters chaining Radiant dodges. So realistically, this is going to be a 2-phase in most of your LFG runs, but if you're super optimal and everything goes according to plan, you should end up with a clean 1-phase like so. There's Pax, dodge, nice.
Dude, his head.
I missed my goalie.
I believe.
Fine. I'll just call it. Let me know when you need Radiant.
Radiant.
Oh yeah, this has to be it, surely. Please don't let me jinx it. Nice. Good stuff.
And I have a goalie
My
back.
goodness!
You have your goalie back? Oh shit, of course.
Now you hit your goalie.
Nice. I saw that, Flux. I saw the chunk.
We're so insane!
Yo!
Moving on to the third encounter now, this encounter is also mostly done like normal, but there is an alternative strategy that you can try to speed things up just a little. Normally, after killing the tormentors and reading the resonance order, you would send the resonance back and forth exactly twice to spawn all of these shapes and then let it dissipate, and then after that, you'd kill the subjugators, find where you need to be, send the resonance, and close the conductors. But if you're willing to be a little quick on your feet, you can actually avoid having to kill the subjugators entirely. Instead of letting the resonance dissipate, continue sending it until both players on a respective side have 3 resonance each. Then, after a coordinated final send, quickly move to the side that requires your resonance and close it while it's still moving. One thing to note about this strategy is that the initial send for all 3 plates must be somewhat coordinated so that when you move to the correct side at the end, there isn't one player who has to move slightly faster because one side was out of sync. So if you're going to do this, just make sure that your initial send on all 3 sides is synchronized. This strategy tends to fall off in the second and third rooms though, since the platforming becomes a little more annoying, but I thought I would mention it regardless, but realistically just stick to doing the regular dissipate strategy. Finally, in the third room, the closers only need to collect 1 resonance each to close the conductors. No need to grab any more than 1 here. Now let's talk about Verity, and it's here that things can get a little complicated when it comes to optimizations. So let's start with the easy stuff. First of all, this website is super useful for learning how to dissect if you don't already, since it lets you repeat the dissection phase over and over until you get it consistent. And then as far as fashion is concerned, if you want to make things super easy, then just have everyone use a different model of ghost shell. So don't all use the generalist shell model and just go crazy with it. Plus, Festival of the Lost masks work brilliantly for distinguishing player statues since they're so wacky and easy to spot. I quite like the Traveler mask because it's absolutely enormous. Now let's get into the harder stuff, and rather brilliantly, there's actually a strategy that allows you to completely skip, and yes, I mean completely skip, the 3-man ghost phase at the beginning of each round. Though sadly, this strategy is quite difficult to execute since it involves perfectly synced swaps inside and outside, as well as quick night killing and advanced movement to exit the looking glass before you get fractured. So unfortunately, I won't be showing you how to do this today, but I've left a video by Esk in the description that shows them clearing the entire encounter in 3 minutes and 39 seconds using this strategy, which is absolutely wild. Now, in terms of things that you can actually apply to your runs, I would strongly recommend learning the W no W strat, which lets you fully complete the inside symbol swapping in the minimum 6 moves every time. I've already made a video breaking down this strat in maximum detail, so if you want to watch that, then click on the action card in the top right of your screen now, and believe me, it definitely needed its own video. Besides that, if you'd like to skip the final 6-man ghost phase on round 3, you can have everyone who's getting fractured die by jumping into the well in the middle and have the non-fractured player stay up top, and if done right, the encounter will auto-complete, skipping the ghost phase entirely. Before we move on to the witness, I quickly wanted to show a cool skip that any class can do to reach the top incredibly fast using rocket grappling. If you have a rocket with sufficiently low velocity to make the timing easier, like this semiotician I have here, if you stand on this platform that's slightly to the left as you exit the elevator from Verity and aim straight up at this specific spot, by performing a rocket grapple, you should end up with the following. Now for the final encounter, we have the Witness. First of all, let's go through some quickfire tips and tricks, starting with the spawning rules for the Subjugators. Subjugators spawn once a glyph is broken on the Witness's chest. Though if, say, the green guy is dead but the blue guy isn't, breaking more glyphs won't spawn new green guys or blue guys for that matter. Furthermore, your teammates may get mad at you for this, but it can be faster to just go chaos mode and gamble your resonance on as many appendages as you can. Also, collecting glyph breakers from appendages resets your resonance timer, so there's really no need to cleanse at all throughout the encounter unless you just get super unlucky or bump into resonance by accident. And finally, weapons with the explosive payload perk are able to one-tap the crystals during the test. All of this is just good general knowledge stuff to be aware of, but to be honest, nowadays you're likely going to be skipping the entire running phase altogether by doing pre-breaking instead. Pre-breaking is where you break all of the glyphs before the encounter even begins, and a super easy way to do this is by standing at the back of the map, shooting a button with two-tailed fox and blowing yourself up at the exact same time, and if done right, it should break the glyph. One thing I found that helps with this is that especially if you're in a team setting, capping your frames to 60 FPS makes the breaks more consistent, since they don't always work, and I have a feeling it's based on your connection, and I believe the better your connection, the better that breaks will occur more consistently. Once all glyphs are broken, if you start the encounter, you're thrusted right into damage, so let's tackle that next. Damage on the Witness is dead simple. Just use precision weapons like Still Hunt or Whisper of the Worm, and ranged damage supers like Celestial Nighthawk, Star Eater Twilight Arsenal, or Star Eater Nova Bomb. Just be sure to aim the Nova Bomb for his face. You should try to have at least one Well of Radiance resilience on your team to provide orbs for surges, and that's really all you need in order to one phase from a pre-break. No need to worry about mechanics at all, and also, if you didn't know this already, you're actually able to survive the Witness's beam attacks inside a well by simply having 100 resilience and at least 2020 power level. That's literally all you need, since resist mods don't work on the Witness. Just 100 resilience and 2020 power should be enough for you to fully tank the lasers. Furthermore, for extra style points, you can avoid the floor attack by performing a single hop rather than a double jump. The timing needs to be perfect, but in reality it's quite forgiving, which is good because it lets you stay scoped in if you're doing whisper damage, for example. So if it all goes well, then you should end up with something like this. Make sure we brought whisper breathing in this.
Oh.
Jude does not know how to go the jump.
It's alright, he's literally almost dead anyway.
I missed a crit!
Well,
Oh my god! Dude, no!
You can place the well, second well.
Oh no, I
there you
don't
go.
want to be in this wipe screen. I don't want to be in the wipe screen.
Push, push, push.
You ready, guys? Oh, there we go. Oh my god, I've never seen an easier one phase in my life.
Yeah,
That's
seriously.
insane.
Holy.
It's really simple. Well, so it was
Damage.
Let's see the receipts.
Oh, I
Yeah, let's look
cooked!
Oh, look at you. You can literally miss out on 2 million damage and you still one phase. It's chill. It's so chill. So there we have it. That's all of the handy tips and tricks for Salvation's Edge that I guarantee will help your next clear be several times faster. There's certainly a lot more to this raid than meets the eye. In fact, the current speedrun world record is 16 minutes and 1 second, which for a raid that normally takes about an hour or more for your average group is a serious time cut. And obviously there's a lot more responsible for that than what I have showed you today, but hopefully with what I did show, your next clear of Salvation's Edge will be slightly more optimal. Anyway, that's all I've got for today. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. If you made it this far, thank you so much. Your support means the world. And if you're really into the content I create, consider becoming a member of the channel, which not only lets you support me in the best way possible, it also nets you a whole host of awesome perks along with it. A massive shout out to these members up on screen, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now, dear viewer.